Hello and welcome to another Red Orchestra 2 custom content episode. Initially, I wanted to make this second episode about the map Subbase, however, this rather awesome turn of events has just happened, so that takes precedence. Here we are looking at the rather fantastic results of a Rising Storm mod team adding armoured vehicles and additional weapons to the game. Initially, this alpha version seems to only add the Type 95 Hago to the game, though more content seems to be planned in the future. The observant among you may have noticed the previous Type 95 prototypey thingy that was dug out of the game's files. However, that, while it had a full interior, had a lot of placeholder bump as well as being untextured. This version has swapped out and stripped down a lot of the old parts and leaves it with a leaner, better performing tank as a result. For starters, the horrid DT machine gun port on the hull has been swapped out for a much nicer Type 97, I think, for both the hull and the turret. This machine gun has a scope attached to it, which seems to be the scope from the light MGs the infantry use, making shooting with it far less problematic than the old placeholder. It reloads very fast, so that may be tweaked in the future, but right now it's certainly a nice thing to use, pretty much to the point where it's being the best tank machine gun in the game right now, I'd say. There is an MG in the turret, but like most Japanese tanks it faces away from the main gun, plus it has its own seating position to occupy for a crew member, which possibly means the commander has two heads, I guess. This is a little off right now, as sitting in the position seems to make the tank take on a life of its own and it begins driving around. Perhaps this is a bug, or maybe an attempt to make the tank face where it estimates the gun will fire, but it seems a bit weird right now. The turret cannon feels like the one from the T-70 minus the reload animation. It possibly is a little less powerful, but without other tanks to test it on, I can only but guess. Like many other Japanese scoped items, the rangefinder will possibly require a bit of getting used to, but there'll be less messing around, dialing in distances for people once they get used to them. Manoeuvring the Type 95 is where the real strength lies. While I'm not sure if the T-70 handles as well, the Type 95 is a really fast tank and has a good turn speed. It's also very small so it can fit in tight places, plus it can launch itself off ramps, making it Red Orchestra 2's prime stunt tank. At least currently it's not up to the clown car of the original. It does seem to get stuck on some bits of the environment, quite annoyingly the burnt branches of bushes, providing a harder nut to crack than living ones it seems. But then again, other maps with less clutter may help with that. A downside for some people, I guess, is this tank lacks a fully detailed interior. While the driver's seat and the command turret you can get a small look around, this is quite limited, plus you can't open any of the hatches on the tank, meaning no full awareness for the commander or a better view from the front from the driver. I would say this is not essential however, and while it may seem lacking compared to the regular tanks of Red Orchestra 2, the lack of interior and the lack of animations inside is most likely what has made these tanks possible. This is, in the long term, a perfectly acceptable trade-off, meaning more content can be added by more people. I can imagine there will be far more tanks available if this style of modding was done before. While there are many great mods in the works for Red Orchestra 2 right now, this one has possibly got me the most excited in what it could bring to the game. Red Orchestra 2 has become something of an infantry game despite the original being firmly a combined arms game, and for tank fans like me, that has made Red Orchestra 2 something of a disappointment. This mod could maybe inspire other modders to take other tanks, not only for Rising Storm but also the Eastern Front, and in that process give other mods like Heroes of the West and Desert Rats more material to work with, such as the possibility of a Sherman or maybe a Stug 3. To play the mod, you need to download the files from the direct link, which can be found either in the modding thread or in the description below this video. Once you've installed the files correctly, you'll need to enter a command line into the command console, which again can be found in either the description or in the first post of the development thread, and then you can copy that and paste it into the game. So doing so leads you to the Peleliu map, which the tank is operational. This is a little convoluted admittedly, but once the mod moves along with development, I'm sure there'll be a more practical and simple method to open and use the tank. Other additions for the future seem to be anti-tank weapons like the bazooka and the Japanese oh so fun looking mine on a stick, as well as 37mm anti-tank guns, some small arms like an M2 carbine and M38 carbine, as well as possibly a Type 4 Kenu, which I read as a Type 94 tick here, and now I'm slightly disappointed because my love of crap tanks is not entirely fulfilled. The American anti-tank class has been implemented, but he only has a satchel charge right now. But as Richard here is modelling, you can see the uniform implemented to see what state it's in. Poor Richard, I knew him well. So without further ado, go get this mod! Yes, it's an alpha, but give it a shot and find its issues, give the modders feedback, politely, on what may be up. We need more of this stuff. I'm not asking, I'm demanding! I need this! You don't know how much I need this, oh God, it's essential I survive on this earth without playing with an attack.